Hey, it's Eben. Right here in this video, you're about to learn an important aspect of wealth. For more advice and tips to help you with money and creating wealth, just click the link you see in this video or go to ebenpagan.com.
You and I are not wired to become wealthy. We're not programmed to become wealthy. And we have habits that prevent us from becoming wealthy. Let me explain. We're not wired to become wealthy. Well, modern neuroscience is figuring out that we come what you might consider to be hardwired with certain ways of interacting with the world, ways of learning, ways of responding to situations and people. We were designed to live in an environment that doesn't exist anymore. We evolved to live in an environment that hasn't existed for thousands of years. Now, because human evolution works very slow, but cultural evolution and business evolution and the evolution of knowledge goes very quickly with people, now that we have things like language and computers and televisions, all that stuff's evolving faster than our hardware. And what I'm going to show you in this program is that our hardware is not designed to deal with a modern society that has money and being able to accumulate money and being able to put your value into things that grow over time and to deal with long-term time frames and interest in things like this. So we got bad wiring when it comes to building wealth. Next, we got bad programming when it comes to building wealth. Most of us grew up with families that weren't wealthy. And even worse than that, we grew up with families that didn't think that wealthy people were good people. They had negative feelings toward money. They were upset at their bosses or whoever owned their company. We got a lot of self-talk in our minds that people that have a lot of money are bad, and that if money comes up in a conversation, it's going to cause a lot of conflict. I've read statistics that the number one thing that causes problems in relationships is arguments over money. So we got a lot of that programming as well. And then finally, our habits don't allow us to build wealth. Right now, each of us has habits that we do every day. Most of the things that we do are 99% the same things that we did yesterday. And actually, it's our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They're all habitual. All the things that we've thought, felt, and did today are probably 99% the same things that we thought, felt, and did yesterday, and 99% the same things we thought, felt, and did the day before. We get into our comfort zones, we get into our routines, and then we just mindlessly do the same things. Now, if those things are not the habits and behaviors of wealth, then what are they? Well, there's something else, and we have to learn a new set of habits and behaviors. So, we're not wired for wealth building. We're not programmed to build wealth, and we don't have the habits to build wealth. And what's the evidence for this? Well, something like 95% of all of us get to age 65, and we're either broke or we're completely dependent on someone else or the government to support us. 95%. That's about 19 out of 20 people. So, 1 in 20, definitely the exception. 19 out of 20, definitely the rule. Or if you've seen the TV shows or the documentaries or read the news stories about people that come into a large amount of money who didn't earn it over time, like people who inherit a lot of money or win the lottery, you've seen or read that in sometimes estimated up to 80% of the cases, the people that have these windfalls are actually worse off 5 years later than the day before they got the money. Right? Now, how could this be? How could it be that people that get millions of dollars figure out how to lose it or get rid of it and are even worse off later on in their lives? It's just further evidence that we don't have the wiring, we don't have the programming, and we don't have the habits to build and keep wealth. I also want to mention to you that I don't think that most wealthy people came wired, programmed, and had the habits of wealth. In fact, if you just look at the math here and you realize that, okay, 1 out of 20 people winds up wealthy, there is a tremendous amount of luck and good fortune involved in those who actually do become wealthy. Now, they would probably never want to admit to this, but the reality is many of them were just in the right place at the right time. Okay, if you randomly throw a bunch of people in a room and then randomly throw a bunch of money in the room, one of them is going to wind up with more than everybody else. Okay, that's just the way things like this work. Think about this for a second. Napoleon Hill, the author of the book Think and Grow Rich, which is probably the most famous manual on how to create riches and wealth that's ever been written, he says right in there that he doesn't believe that 1 in 100,000 people truly understands the secrets of entrepreneurial success. So think about that for a minute. Not 1 in 100,000 really understands what it takes to create entrepreneurial success. So that means that there's a lot of luck going on out there as well. Now, sure, there are some families who have gotten really good at passing their fortune on from generation to generation, and they've developed great programming, and they've developed great habits, and they've developed great systems in their life to overcome their bad wiring. And we're going to cover some of that here. But just for now, I want you to know that the reality is we don't come with the right wiring, we don't come with the right programming, we don't know the right habits. Most of the people that come into money, that come into windfalls, they lose it because they don't know how to handle it, and their lives wind up worse off. And even those that do kind of earn or accumulate wealth, many of them are lucky. There is a path, though. The people that have figured out how to do it consistently have left clues, and I've been studying those clues, and in this program I'm going to teach you what they are, and we're going to put them into action so that you can create wealth for yourself.